Okay, maps, scale drawings. Scale drawing is an enlarged or reduced drawing of an object that is similar to the actual object. Similar, as we talked before, means what? Same shape, different size. So if you are using a map and it's drawn, as they say, to scale, it's shrunken down accurately. That's why in the corner of a map they give you that little key down there that says 1 inch is equal to 100 miles. So you take out your ruler, and if you want to find out the distance from Milwaukee to La Crosse, and you say, all right, here's what it measures, it's about this many miles. Kind of an antiquated way of doing it, because now people don't ever have to use that because they've got GPS, they've got MapQuest, they've got Google Maps, they got all this stuff they can use to either just to get them where they need to go. But scale drawings are something that you should still have to, have a knowledge of. It's not necessarily hard. It all follows along this ratio. For example, like when we had something that looks like this, all right, we've got to find the missing value. This is all we'll be doing for today. So I'd look for a relationship and say, oh, from 2 to 6, that's times 3, x equals 9, okay? Except now you're going to have to put things in the right place to set it up properly, okay? So let's try some of these, and they're not going to be, they're going to make them a little bit more challenging for you. Usually which is why this is kind of off in the first place. If you see a scale, it's usually written like 1 inch is equal to, 50 miles, okay? That's usually what you'd see. They're not going to they're going to use the unit rate. They're not going to take, like they give us on page 277. Here's what they give us. 3 inches is equal to 10 feet. It's really not practical for them to do that, to use 3 instead of 1. But let's go with it. Take a look at 277, numbers 1 through 6. If this is the scale that's given, and most of the time they'll give you that scale within the directions. That's the one we're going to use. But if this is a ratio, there's other ways we can write it. You are most familiar with and probably most comfortable seeing that ratio written in fraction form. Now, I'll tell you, it doesn't matter for the first scale how you set it up. If you want to put feet on top and inches on the bottom, that's up to you. But it will matter moving forward. I decided to put, not we, I sometimes talk like we, like I'm standing up here with somebody else. You ever notice that? Yeah. I put inches on top, feet on the bottom. So for number 1, it says 21 inches. Where am I going to put 21? Top or bottom? Top, because that's where I decide. I decide to put inches. Okay? So now, like what we just said, I have to find the missing value. Is there a relationship between 3 and 21? Times. Therefore, the bottom, Alex, 70 feet is the value that we are looking for. Number 1 on page 277. All right, let's use that same scale, 3 inches to 10 feet, and do number 2. Inches, 15. And so times 5 is going to be 50. Let me just show you. I told you already that your initial scale doesn't really matter what order you want to put it in. So if I were to decide that I wanted to write the scale this way, where would I put the 15 now? Top or bottom? Bottom, because that's where I decided to put the inches. Does it change the answer? Will I get something different than what I originally got? No, I'll still get 50. Okay, you just have to pay attention and put things where they belong. Does that make sense? Okay. Let's move to numbers 13 through 18 at the bottom. The scale here, 1 centimeter is equal to 3.75 kilometers. Which, believe it or not, is probably a better scale than the 3 to 10. It's just nice to have that 1. Number 13 says 8 centimeters. Where am I going to put the 8 centimeters? Top or bottom? Sophia. Okay. Now, just because there's a decimal here doesn't mean that I approach this any differently. Is there a relationship between 1 and 8? Times 8. So we're going to have to multiply this decimal times 8. So what? Big deal. 40. 56 plus 4. And 24 plus 6. How many decimals? Final answer? Okay. Do number 14. That's 20 centimeters. One times 20, 3.7 times 75 times 20 is what? 75? 75 kilometers would be your answer. All right. A couple of them are crossed out because they're using millimeters or meters. This isn't necessarily a lesson on converting, so I cross those out for you. What do you notice about numbers 1 through 9? What do you notice about the scale? Well, the scale says 2 centimeters to 21 kilometers. Now, that'll work. That'll work every time. Okay? Remember, if it's you're solving the proportion, your first step is you always look for a relationship. What's the second one? Simplify an existing fraction. Can you simplify that existing fraction? Yes and no. And then, third step is always cross multiply and divide. If you would prefer, could you set up an alternate scale that you could use as well as, can you come up with another one that would mean the same as 2 to 21? How would I get from 2 to 1 using division? Divide by, so let's divide 21 by 2. And 10.5. Now, it is up to you. You could use this. You could use that. Either way. You would get the same result. When might it be beneficial to use this one? Yeah. Yeah, maybe when there's an even number. might work out pretty well. Then you're not really working with any decimals, are you, Alex? Okay. So you want to do number 1 together? Let's do number 1 together. What scale do you want? What scale do you want to use? The 2 centimeters to 21 or the 1 centimeters to 10 and a half? Okay, so let's set it up. 1 centimeter to 10.5, and it's 9 centimeters. Is there a relationship between 1 and 9? Times 9. So what do I have to do with the 10.5? Times 9. And 9, how many decimals? So 94.5. Mm-hmm. Now 10 through 17. Good with this? Can I move on? 10 through 17, here's the scale. 1/4 of an inch is equal to 12 feet. Okay? Now, what is it that you might not like about that particular scale? Let me guess. Mia. Okay. Can I make an alternate scale for this one using 1 for my inch? How would I get from 1/4 to 1? How many fourths equal 1 whole? 4. So if I would multiply the top times 4, I would multiply the bottom times 4 and get 12 times 4. 48. These are the same. It's the same. Yeah, I mean, if it were me, and especially look at what you have. It's not about always working harder, folks. It's about working smarter. That's an excuse that lazy people usually like to use. I use that all through college. I don't work harder, I work smarter. What do you mean, where am I now? What are you trying to say? No, it's a phrase that some people, let's say some people use to justify not working as hard. I don't need to study for 10 hours. I study for 2 and study the right stuff. That's what you think, so you get the test. Do you want to do number 10? Let's do it. All right, so what scale do you want to use? This one? Okay, this is number 10. 8 feet. Where's the 8 go? Right there? All right. Now, first thing we look for is what? Is there one, this is going to blow your mind here. Is there one between 48 and 8? Divided by 6. Can you divide 1 by 6? Can you divide 1 by 6? Bam. So remember, this is a way you can show division, 1 divided by 6. But if it's already in simplest form, you can leave it there, and it's fine. What about number 11? It's 30. 1 inch to 48 equals 30. Okay? Now, is there a relationship between 38 and 40? No. Can't divide 48 to get 30. But watch carefully. Watch. If there's not a relationship and I can't simplify 1 over 48, what is it that I do? Cross multiply gives me 30 divided by, can I simplify? 10 over what? You're dividing by 3? 16 equals 5 what? 5/8? So let's do 1 through 17 without the ones that are x'd out. Obviously, the ones that are x'd out at the top don't do, so all the other ones. Got it?